No, that's the wrong button for sharing. Oh, there it is. Let me share my screen. We are going to share with you all some of the successes. We're going to remind each other of all the great work that we've done together. Before we jump into that, given that this is a collaborative effort, we want this to be something that we're all doing together. We want to hear from you guys. So using the whiteboard that's popping up here, we want you guys to drop in your successes. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a little text box. You can click on that, drop in a little text box and type in, what was your biggest highlight? What was your success that you want to share with everybody? Whether it's personal or professional. I think we were thinking professional, but why not? Let's talk about personal successes that you guys had this year. And let's all celebrate everyone's success together. So think about what you guys want to share with the group. Got some inspiring little gifts here, little gifs here for folks. But yeah, share with everybody some of your highlights from 2024, or feel free to drop them in the chat if you'd like, but it'd be cool to preserve them in this little highlight here. We've never used this whiteboard feature before, so if you're having trouble, let us know, because we've never done it before. See some folks are adding stuff in there. Can everyone hear us okay? Yep. Okay. Cool. All right, we'll go ahead and get started with our highlight reel. Let me share this. All right, so here we are going on a road trip today. We are going back in time to talk about all the great work that we did. We've done a lot, so we're going to go through the work of our policy priorities. We're going to talk about the incredible conference we had, highlight some of our state wins as well, and then we're going to take a turn and look to the future. We're going to go beyond. We're going to look at what we have to look forward to in 2025 and all the great ways that we all can engage and work together next year. So with that, I will turn it over to the Honorable Peter Marks.
Well, what could be more exciting than talking about stormwater in the morning? It's a very good way to start the day. But I'm going to take advantage of Kristen's comment that we can share personal highlights. Yeah. So November 2024, I have caught a trout, at least one trout a month, every month for 104 months, including November 2024. So hoping to go above and beyond that this winter. But anyway, but now I got stormwater, which actually impedes my ability to catch trout sometimes. So, but stormwater, I think, as folks have heard a gazillion times, it is the largest growing source of pollution to Chesapeake Bay. It's the only one that's really growing. Others are either diminishing or stabilized. So, you know, with population growth and development, this is always a big issue, and especially in more urbanized areas, which are expanding throughout the watershed. We've been doing a lot of stuff through this stormwater work group, and I invite everybody to come join us today at 2 o'clock for our monthly call. And we're looking at that call a lot for 2025 and what we're going to be doing, finishing our work plan. But some of the things, and the first one, it's going to be most likely on our work plan for 2025. This came from our Maryland groups. Just some major concerns with this very large MS4 permit from the Maryland State Highway Department. And this is, you forget about it, but state highways, they control a lot of land that's all along highways, median strips, things that are not developed but have a really large impact, especially localized because of all the pavement. There was a lot of extreme disappointment with the state highway permit, MS4 permit proposed by Maryland, which was pretty much just extending the one that had expired. So we have weighed in with Maryland Department of Environment. We weighed in with EPA Region 3. EPA Region 3 ultimately, needs to approve, or they could disapprove of this permit, which we don't think is likely. But we're waiting to hear about some improvements to that permit. The jury is still out as to how much they have improved. Certainly, probably not what we have asked for to have a really good major improvement to this permit, but anything that's getting better because of our harassing state officials is a win. So we're hoping that it's going to be a lot better than it was. We will soon find out. But that's something we've been working on and something we're likely going to continue to work on unless they come out and release a perfect permit, which we don't think is going to happen. Anyway, that was one thing. We have, over the past year, we were working with a congressional office, actually Congressman Jerry Conley from Northern Virginia, who has, Congressman Conley he represents Fairfax County. He used to be the head of the Board of Supervisors in Fairfax County. He has a very personal interest in stormwater because it's, a massive issue in Fairfax County. And his staff has been working with us. They were really interested in some ideas for stormwater legislation. We met with his staff a couple of times through our stormwater work group to give them some ideas for legislation. It's looking like there was an outside chance they might have introduced like a kind of a marker bill at the end of this Congress, too late for it to go anywhere. That didn't happen, but we'll be working with them over the break, and hopefully they will have something to introduce in the 119th Congress, which starts on January 3rd. But we're not quite sure where they are with anything yet. But the staffer who we met with is actually on maternity leave, so we need to wait for her to come back to kind of catch up to where we left off. I guess the last thing is just a few years ago in 2021, I think it was, so just about 3 years ago, through the Stormwater Work Group, we developed our principles for stream restoration. This is a very controversial topic in the Bay watershed and among our membership. And we have not, the coalition does not have an official position whether we're for or against stream restoration, but we went through a lengthy process to adopt these principles, which we use regularly, which is whether you're for or against stream restoration, it is occurring. And we have these principles that if it's going to occur, these certain things, these practices should mimic what we have in here, trying to have best practices, minimize localized and downstream impacts, and also, try and prevent stream restoration from just literally getting blown out and having to be done again or be useless. So anyway, that's it in a quick nutshell from Stormwater.
And your Stormwater Work Group co-chair is on, Renee Reber.
Oh, yep.
Shout out to Renee for
Renee, who's
working with Peter intimately on these.
Who's actually the brains of the operation.
So thanks, Renee, for joining today and for your support of Peter.
Yep, we could not do this without Renee, who is always there for and is the expert on these issues.
Yes. All right. So to the TMDL, the total maximum daily load, everyone's favorite thing about the Chesapeake Bay. So we did a lot of work in this space over the last year. Over the past 2 years, we've been really heavily engaged in the reaching 2025 and then this beyond 2025. So by the end of this year, all projects were supposed to be in place for a clean and restored bay. We are, spoiler, not hitting that mark, but good news. There is a plan moving forward on how we are hopefully going to do that in the near, maybe distant future. But the coalition has really been engaged in this in a lot of different ways, starting off with just really trying to advocate as much as possible for you all, for our coalition members, for stakeholders and the public to be able to engage and give feedback and comments as much as possible. That was a really, really big part of our work last year. If you'll remember at our conference, we had a kickoff that's centered on just looking at the current Bay Agreement and providing some ideas and feedback. We had some really great roundtable discussions on all the different goals and outcomes, and providing that direct and real-time feedback using Mentimeter to EPA and other folks in leadership. We had 35 people sign on to our comment letter on the Beyond 2025 work, which is just really incredible for something that was not federal or appropriations related. That was really, really a great thing to see. And I think we've made a really big difference in the work, you know, and at the outcome of what we're going to be seeing in the next several days. And as the Executive Council for the Bay Program meets next week in Annapolis, and codifies the next steps for Beyond 2025. So I really feel like all of us should be really proud of all of the hard work that we put in to make sure that the stakeholders' opinions, their insights were reflected in that. And I really just appreciate everybody who has contributed and been part of all of that work, because we definitely made a big difference, and we're going to continue to make a difference next year. But that's for the second half of this presentation, where we'll talk about that. Other part of our work in the TMDL work group, providing oversight and accountability. This is probably what makes us less exciting when we jump into certain folks' inboxes, but we are always making sure that progress continues on the restoration effort, and we do that through sign-on letters, through meetings with EPA. We really have enjoyed, for not even just the last year, 4 years, but even beyond that, we really enjoyed the ability to go and meet with EPA, especially Region 3 and the Bay Program leadership on a regular basis. We brought several of our coalition members to be able to meet, have conversations, raise concerns, things about very specific permits, but all the way to really broad issues, and even things like PFAS. And so really looking forward to continuing that relationship and ensuring that relationship continues in the new administration. But it's a really key and important role that the coalition and you all play in making sure that the federal agencies, especially EPA, know and are reminded that we are watching and want to ensure that oversight and accountability continues when it comes to the restoration effort. So big thank you from me to everyone that participates on the TMDL work group and contributes to all of this. It's immensely helpful for me. I don't know if Evan is on the call, but shout out to Evan, who's my co-chair, and has really helped support the coalition in so many ways in his expertise. And so thank you, Evan at CLA, for everything that you've done. I owe you several rounds of alcohol, probably. So thank you.
Okay. I am going to talk a little bit about our agriculture work group. We did a couple of sign-on letters this year. One was in support of the newly proposed Southern Maryland Woodlands National Wildlife Refuge, SOMD on there. This National Wildlife Refuge attempts to conserve and restore Southern Maryland's landscapes, waterways, and shorelines. It promotes the protection and restoration of fish and wildlife habitat. Therefore, it is directly complementary to Chesapeake Wild, which is a Fish and Wildlife Service program, the Chesapeake Watershed's Investments for Landscape Defense. This is a program that we advocate for every year at our lobby day, meet with our members of Congress throughout the year supporting this, and many of our members have received this funding in the past. So we're a big proponent of, our members are a big proponent of this, and that's why we did a sign-on letter. And then we also submitted a sign-on letter on the Agriculture Advisory Committee. The Executive Council of the Chesapeake Bay Program has 3 advisory committees currently. This would be the 4th one, focused on agriculture. And in our comment letter, we had 2 requests in there. one, that the bylaws require a set number of seats for conservation practitioners, and two, that funding for this not come at the expense of the other advisory committees. These advisory committees do take some funding to support their work, and it's really important to get to get the advice of these different advisory committees as the Bay program moves forward with their work. And so we submitted this letter and are open to conversations about it and hope to support this in the future. We also did some farm bill work. There was a Chesapeake Bay marker bill, and we advocated for this at our lobby day. One thing in there was codifying the Chesapeake Bay States Partnership Initiative, or popularly known as CSPI. And another thing was dealing with wild-caught blue catfish. As you might know, currently they have to be inspected by USDA instead of FDA, although FDA inspects all other types of seafood. And so through the Farm Bill, they could make a permanent switch for this. So then it would be easier to inspect these wild-caught invasive blue catfish. And so Peter brought it to my attention that in the next Congress, we might have to introduce a new Chesapeake Bay marker bill for the Farm Bill. And so we're going to take some time during our January agriculture work group call to talk through what this might look like. So if you're interested in that, please come ready with ideas. I believe we'll be meeting on January 9th at 1 p.m. We also have a ag work group call tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're going to be talking about tiered implementation of the TMDL and what this would look like for the ag sector and going through our 2025 work plan. So let me know if you want an invite to that. I sent it also to the TMDL work group this morning in case you all are interested in attending. And then finally, we had an in-person tour of Claggett Farm with the communications work group back in April. I'm going to let Drew talk about that on his next slide. Oh, and shout out to my two co-chairs, Jenna and Mauricio. Thank you so much for your support.
All right, communications. We had a banner year, very busy, but a lot of fun stuff that we were able to accomplish this year on the communications front. With the support of our communications intern, Kara Sigwin, who was just a rock star, we produced 2 new videos. Everyone on the team now knows what B-roll is because we were gathering it for about 6 or 7 months for those videos. But as we were celebrating our 15th anniversary, we had a video that really told the story of the origin of the coalition. And then we also had a video documenting Lobby Day and all the great work that happens through that day. As Sarah mentioned, we had an opportunity to tour CBS Claggett Farm with the Ag Work Group, gathered some great B-roll, but then also had some great discussions on tackling some of the communication challenges that agricultural issues present. As Kristen discussed with Beyond 2025, that was certainly a big thing that was a focus for us on the communications front. We worked with a lot of our member organizations, but also partners outside of our membership on writing and placing op-eds throughout the whole watershed. And really just expressing the message of needing to recommit to the Bay restoration effort. Another one of our big pushes was to have all the governors attend the executive council meeting happening next Tuesday. So we'll chalk it up as we played a small role in helping all the governors of Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, all planning to attend next week. So we'll chalk that up as a win. And then beyond just the op-ed campaign, had a in-depth toolkit and providing messaging guidance to our members on Beyond 2025, how to talk about it. It's presents lots of thorny communications challenges. So that was a fun project that continues to this day. And then given a big election year, we continued our Get Out the Vote efforts, providing civic engagement resources to our members. But last and certainly not least, we launched our coalition store, including our most popular product on the store, the Marxist mug. Feature our own Peter Marx. You never know what's going to be successful unless you give it a try. And this is a fun surprise, seeing that everyone wanted to snatch up their Marxist mug.
And I can autograph it for you.
You can get your own. Still available on our store. Thank you. While we're giving flowers to all of our communications, all of our co-chairs of our work groups, major thank you to Melissa Diamond from the Potomac Conservancy and Marco Sanchez from the Piedmont Environmental Council, who were instrumental in a lot of the success.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So for equity, first things first, our equity work group has been meeting consistently since I joined the team, and that was what I was going to share as my highlight, joining the Choose Clean Water Coalition. So thank you, everyone, for
Yay!
welcoming me. I came in through halfway through the year, so I've had to kind of catch up, but it's been an amazing experience. For our equity work group, we've had a lot of interesting conversations surrounding diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, and alternative language, rural environmental justice, and just holding space for some of those more heavy topics. And then we've also had a lot of success with our YPC Young Professionals of Color mentorship program. So 2024 saw the highest number of participants in its 8 years. So shout out to the Choose Clean Water Coalition for holding that program and making efforts to expand it. Technically this counts as 2025, but we only had 4 less applicants than last year, so we're still keeping strong. And over 2/3 of those applicants are applicants for the first time. So definitely reaching new young professionals of color within the environmental field. And then uh, another part of the equity work that the Choose Clean Water Coalition has been doing is beginning the process of updating our DEIJ action guide, which I'll go into further detail later in the webinar. But these are some of the wins that we as the Choose Clean Water Coalition have done towards our work for equity.
Great. And I'm going to talk a little bit about energy because our awesome energy policy contractor, Rosa, is actually coming back. It's a good surprise for everybody. We were able to secure some funding to bring Rosa back, but that was really a big win for us is that we were able to bring somebody on who was able to really help the coalition figure out what is our niche in this energy space. Energy has been a part of the coalition's policy priorities from our inception, but it has changed over time. And obviously there are a lot of groups that are already working on energy, and energy is very broad. And so really trying to figure out what our niche is, and what we've been able to realize is that there's a need for creating that water to energy climate connection. Often water and climate and energy are put into different buckets, but it is also connected. And so Rosa was able to bring that perspective to our work plan and was able to really figure out where we are going to help and support instead of duplicate efforts here in this community. And because of that, we were able to do a lot of really great things over the last year. We endorsed the first sort of like energy extraction focused piece of legislation from the coalition in a long time. So the Zombie Mine bill package was something that we supported, which is really great. There's some information in the chat if you'd like to learn more about that. We've also started, because of a lot of our coalition members, working more on issues like solar siting and data centers and land use changes that are occurring from some of these issues. And so really having Rosa on our team has helped us be able to focus in on the best way for us to support you all, our coalition members, in these efforts, but then also where it's appropriate for us to be more engaged. And really looking forward to her starting next week. Very excited that she'll be back on the team and leading this work for us into the next year. I really feel like we've benefited a lot from her expertise and her being able to really focus on what our connection here is. And I'm excited to see how we continue to work in this energy space from the coalition perspective moving forward. All right.
Federal Fair. Hey. So we've gone through our annual appropriations process, which happens every year, and that's the actual money that pops out of Congress that goes to federal agencies and programs. And we've been doing pretty well. The collective we, not just Choose Clean Water Coalition, but everybody involved in Chesapeake Restoration, and we've upped the big Chesapeake programs funding levels quite a bit over the past decade, and we've kind of some historic highs for a lot of these programs, and we've maintained those historic highs over the last couple of years. It was a lot easier when there was a Democratic president, Democratic Senate, and Democratic House. During that time, funding did increase. We had a lot of key allies who were pushing that really hard. There was also the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which brought a lot of additional funds into Chesapeake programs. But we've maintained those high levels in 24, and so far in FY25, that's not final yet, but there were some concerns, and there will be continuing concerns to make sure that these programs don't get cut, because there is going to be a lot of pressure to reduce federal spending or reduce the growth of federal spending. So in some ways, just maintaining these high levels has been a win. So we're pleased with that. And that second bullet on the precipice of reauthorizing 3 key Chesapeake programs, that precipice is even closer since we typed this thing up, because last night the House of Representatives passed what's called the ACE Act, the America's Conservation Enhancement Act. It's got about 18 or 19 different conservation, basically several, like 18 different freestanding bills all combined together, and 3 of them are Chesapeake specific. It reauthorizes the EPA Chesapeake Bay program, reauthorizes Fish and Wildlife Service Chesapeake Wild program, and reauthorizes the Park Service's Chesapeake Gateways program. Reauthorizations are a key to make sure that we get those appropriations, the actual money flowing. So if an authorization lapses, it could be problematic, especially in a Congress that wants to cut domestic discretionary spending, which these programs are. So we're real hopeful that in the next few days, through next Monday or Tuesday, that the Senate will now take up this bill and pass it. That ACE Act also includes reauthorizing the North American Wetlands Conservation Act. So that's nationwide program for wetlands, which is also really important in our watershed. And also the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation Reauthorization Act. That entity actually has a federal law to establish it and make it and allow it to continue and to get these federal funds, and they're really key in the Chesapeake. The other is we just are sending out some new letters. One of them is letters to welcome and congratulation letters to the 16 new House and Senate members who will be coming to Congress. We had a lot of retirements. We had a few sitting incumbents who were defeated. And there's going to be a lot of change in the congressional delegation. A number of us are going to be going to the Hill on January 3rd. That is the first day of the new Congress, the 119th Congress. And we're going to take these welcome letters and visit these 16 new offices, House and Senate offices, and hopefully be able to say hello and tell them who we are and what our priorities are, and start developing relationships for the next 2 years and beyond with these new members. So I'll leave it at that for
now. Before we jump to the conference, I do just want to say wrap up for all of our policy priorities. Again, these are things that coalition staff here, we all lead at least one work group for the coalition, but we would not be able to do any of this without you all, our coalition members. Thank you guys for those of you who are engaged in the work groups. It's really the way that we're able to, one of the ways that we're able to hear from you all about issues that are coming up in these different spaces, and we hope that they're helpful and they provide a space to learn, but also share. And there can be more, obviously that's something that continues on every year. So we hope that you guys continue to join us on those calls. And thank you to all of our co-chairs who do help us think about agendas and keep us up to date as well. A lot of the subject matter experts that we really rely on in a lot of different ways. So thank you guys so much for all that you do. So, all right.
The conference, everyone's favorite time of the year.
Unless you're lobby day, I don't know. It's a toss-up.
No, it's true. Well, yeah, that's not.
May is a nicer time of year than.
Well, it's true. It's a fun debate to have. So we had a fantastic record-setting conference this year. 23 sessions, 6 workshops, 8 field trips, and 4 plenaries, including a very boisterous and engaged group at Jeopardy, Chesapeake Bay, watershed Jeopardy. A lot of fun. New records, we had the most attendees we've ever had at the conference, most proposals we ever received to present, most scholarships we ever gave out. Set diversity records is the most diverse conference we've ever had, records for racial diversity, speakers of color, LGBTQ plus attendees. So lots of success on that front. We finally got a group photo for the first time in several conferences, so I was thrilled about that. Made my dreams come true. And as Kristen mentioned before with the conference kickoff, that was the timing worked out just perfectly with the Bay program able to release their plans for what's going to lie beyond 2025 and then receive that real-time feedback from Mentimeter. And we had a record attendance for that pre-conference seminar. More than 100 people attended that kickoff, and certainly the future of the restoration effort as a whole was included throughout many of our sessions and workshops. But I definitely encourage folks to check out the conference recap if you want to stroll down memory lane, or if you weren't able to join us this year. Lots of great photos. Also, all the plenaries, the videos from those are available. We even have some of the presentation decks from some of our presenters available as well. So check out that recap if you want to learn more. But I'll be talking about next year's conference in a little bit. But for now, I'll leave it there.
So now look what I just told you to do. What is your favorite coalition event? Let's do it.
Uh-oh.
Let's head to head.
Come on.
There will be a cash award if you go to the lobby there. I'm just saying.
Uh-oh, I don't know. It's pretty tight. I can see it on the back. All right, we'll do 5 more seconds. 5.
Come on.
3.
25.
2. 1.
40.
Oh, wait, it just jumped. Okay, I'll give you 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Any last minute votes? All right, let's show the results of the poll lobby day.
Yes!
Oh, 10, only by 2. It was 10 to 8.
Checks are in the mail.
We only had 18 people that voted, so.
Get them next year.
We'll do it again next year. We'll see how you guys do. All right. Sorry. I thought that would be fun. It was worth it. That was fun.
I didn't think it was fun at all.
Okay.
It's truth, justice, and the American way.
Not lobby day, but other policy wins here. I want to talk a little bit about some of our state wins this past year, and you can see there's a couple photos on there. Those are all from our in-person member events. We held several this year. In April, we gathered in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania with our Pennsylvania members, and that's that middle photo. We've gathered in Baltimore in May with our Maryland members. That's the top photo. And then we gathered in Richmond, Virginia in May again next week. The week afterwards, with our Virginia members and all of our VCN partners. And then in November, we gathered for the first time with our Delaware members, and that's the last photo there. We gathered in person at Abbott's Mill, hosted by the Delaware Nature Society, with our sister coalition members, the Coalition for the Delaware River Watershed, and we had a really great time. We're going to be in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia next week with our West Virginia members, and then we're working on a DC in-person event, so very busy with these. We do these each year in each state, so be on the lookout next year for more events that you can come and attend. And I want to thank all of our state leads who are on this call and just say we could not do this work without you. We really, really appreciate you, and we look forward to a whole nother 2 years with all of y'all. I want to talk about our Pennsylvania briefing book. This was a big project that we started last year and wrapped up this February. It was the 2024-2025 Pennsylvania Clean Water Legislative Briefing Book. We worked with our members, the members of the Coalition for the Delaware River Watershed, and members of the Healing Our Waters Coalition, which covers the Great Lakes, to come up with different clean water environmental priorities throughout the entire state of Pennsylvania, not just the Chesapeake Bay watershed. We've gotten some really great feedback about this book being used. Penn Future held their Clean Water Education Day back in May, I believe, and they used this book and they handed it out to each office that they met with. And again, we're getting good feedback there. This for this year with this book, this is the third edition of it. We decided to have an equity review committee look through the book to ensure that all of the sections were shared through a DEIJ lens, and we passed through funding to those reviewers. We also had an environmental glossary. Thank you to the Virginia Conservation Network for doing this and showing us it worked well, so we did it as well. And we are looking to update this book in the future, so we'll let you know about that. I mentioned we're looking at a DC in-person member event. That's because this year we launched our DC work group.
Woo! Yay!
This has been a long time priority for the coalition, and this year we were able to secure funding to support this role, and we brought on Jamani Overby with Nature Forward to be our DC lead. She's already started on the work plan. She has set up monthly meetings, and so I believe we're meeting third Wednesday of the month at 3:30. If you're interested in joining this work group, please let me know. We should be sticking a link in the chat here in a second where you can sign up for any of our, there it is, any of our work groups. But if you can just email me too, if you want, whichever you prefer. And then we are working on a SACIT project. So I've sent out a couple of emails about this, talked to some of the state work group meetings, but we're looking at wetlands protections post-SACIT, what they look like, what the implications are, and kind of coming up with a draft campaign plan at the federal and state level of what it would look like to increase protections there. We have a survey that we're circulating, and that's going to be in that chat here as well in a second. And if you would rather just have, it's a long survey, so if you'd rather just have a conversation, feel free to email me. I've set up a couple calls with folks, and thank you to everybody who's already given feedback, and also to those that we have a date on the calendar to talk. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our state leads retreat. I think it might be the best one yet. We met with all of our state leads in Crisfield, Maryland, and we boarded a boat and we headed on over to Port Isabel, and we spent 3 days at Port Isabel, and I think everybody had a really great time. We were very immersed in the ways of the island, and we definitely ate a lot of seafood, learned a lot about crabbing, fishing, had a great time. I'm so glad that we were able to spend this time in person together. I think it's really important to help build relationships and connections, and it helps us meet our goals ultimately. So thank you to our state leads who all attended that, and I hope I can make next year fun too. I don't know if I can top this year, but promise I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible.
Island in the Chesapeake is.
I know, we ate crab like every day. It was great. It was awesome. And then finally, we have been doing some state level welcome letters. We have been working on a welcome letter to Governor-elect Meyer in Delaware, to Governor-elect Morrissey in West Virginia, introducing ourselves and our members in Delaware and West Virginia, respectively. We've already sent a welcome letter to DC Mayor Muriel Bowser. That was not welcoming her to her position. She's been there. That was welcoming us to her, since we're the new ones. And so thanks to everybody who helped with that letter, who signed on to that letter and sent it off. Delaware and West Virginia, be on the lookout. There's going to be letters coming down the pipe for y'all to sign on to. And currently, we're also working on welcome letters to the DC Council members so that we can, again, get to know them better and let them know that we look forward to working with them, especially when it comes to the budget and clean water appropriations. So thanks to everybody who supported this work, state leads, members, staff. I'm very much looking forward to the next year.
All right. So we are probably the first time ever on a coalition call ahead of schedule. So before we go into the beyond, I do just want to take a moment. I know we just quickly went through a lot of different great things that we did together over the last year. I quite frankly forgot about a lot of it because there's so much that goes on. And so this was a really fun activity for me, going back and looking at all the great stuff we've done together. But I think just collectively as a group, with you all on the line and us here in the room, just once again, just really soaking all of that in and thinking about all the great stuff that we've done together. Using that to energize all of us as we move forward, knowing that all of this great work is going to continue to move forward, and that we have something positive to think about and look forward to into the new year. So just want to take a moment, because this is also for you guys, our coalition members and our supporters. Anything that anyone else wants to share, anything that we may have missed, that you guys really were thankful for, or really glad that we did. as a coalition, because I'm sure there are some successes that we didn't talk about, or anybody just wanted to raise anything from our membership or anyone else on the line. No pressure, but
Can come off mute if you want.
yes, doesn't have to be in the chat. You guys can feel free to unmute yourself. Oh, wait, did I allow you this time? Yes, I did. Okay. Maybe we covered it all, which is great.
I have to say, it was really unfair to make us choose between lobby day and the conference.
Mhm.
There should have been a third option for both.
Oh, everybody gets a trophy. Well, mostly because Drew and Peter are going up
So-
against each other.
So
too.
Renee, which one did you pick?
Don't, she picks one.
I can't say because they're just both so much fun and such wonderful events to actually come in person with with all the members of the coalition and do our work together and celebrate our work together. It was a hard pick.
Anyone else? Did we do good? We covered everything? All right. Well, what are we gonna do next year? Whew, lots of things. And we are ready and planned and ready to show you what we have in store. So starting right off the bat, back to Peter and Sarah.
So, Lobby Day, Renee, March 5th, take it in. We're going back to the Hill as we've done every year. This is gonna be our 14th, right? Something like that.
That's 2013.
Yeah, couple of in-person years off for COVID, but we still did it virtually. It's actually, it's a really important day because it shows the power of the coalition. We have lots of folks coming from all over the Bay watershed, all the states, almost all of the congressional districts. There are 37 congressional districts in the Bay watershed, so sometimes we don't touch them all, but we usually come pretty darn close. Anyway, it's really a great day. If you've never done it before, it can sound intimidating, but there's a lot of folks around who can help you, walk you through. We do training ahead of time. You would, if you come, you'll actually have scripts that you can read, so you don't have to even fall back on memorizing things if need be. But it's a good experience and it's been effective. We a part that we always do is at lunch we'll break into teams, generally state teams. So you'll do Pennsylvania meetings, Maryland meetings, New York meetings, but we all come back to a big room for lunch, and we invite members of Congress to come and speak with us. We also invite congressional staff to come join us for lunch. So that hour and a half or so for lunch is also a really key part where we get to hear some really good talks, sometimes some really boring talks, but we also get to interact with members of Congress and hang out with staff who are just joining us for lunch. So if you've never done it before, please consider it. And if you've done it before, hopefully it was a good experience and you'll be back.
There's a lot of new faces, so it's good.
Yeah, we have 16 out of the 49 House and Senate members. We will have 16 new members this year, which is a lot. A lot of retirements, a few incumbents lost. We will miss most of them. Anyway, March 5th.
Something I didn't think about to add in here, but that made me think of it. Something else we've been talking about on the federal level, given so many new faces, is making sure that we are educating those folks as much as possible, not just on Lobby Day, but throughout the year on the great work that is going on across the watershed. And one way that we do that is through congressional tours. It's a great way to get people out. So if anyone would be interested in helping and participating in that, showing off some of the great work that you're doing on the ground, we are happy to chat, especially if it's coming from some of the funding that we're advocating for.
That's the best way to do it. Like if you, if you have a Chesapeake Wild grant or a Chesapeake Small Watershed grant, those are programs that we're on the Hill on March 5th. We'll be advocating for those. And so if you have projects that are being funded, at least even partially from those sources, that's a perfect thing to take members of Congress out to tour so they can actually see what's going on the ground in their districts or in their states for things that we're asking them to support.
Okay, ready for my part?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, I think this goes without saying, but I'm Team Lobby Day. Sorry, Drew. And like Peter said, Lobby Day itself might be kind of intimidating, just the word lobby. And so every year we have a training. It's free to attend. It's our Boulder Advocacy Training, and we're going to be holding it on January 14th at 11 a.m. Anybody's welcome to join. We encourage you to. I believe it will be recorded.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, they let us
And we record it and we can share out the recording if y'all would like it. This is a really great way to learn what it means to lobby as a 501c3, what's allowed, what isn't. You can lobby as a 501c3, and we have lawyers come on and tell you exactly what you can and can't do. So that's why we hold this training every year. And like Peter said, we do hold other trainings getting ready for Lobby Day. So if you're unsure, you're thinking about attending, but you might be intimidated, feel free to reach out. We're happy to talk about it. Can you say something else?
Yeah, one thing we all refer to this as Lobby Day, but technically the formal name for the day is Chesapeake Bay Day on Capitol Hill. And that's purposeful so that it's not called Lobby Day, even though effectively that is what we do. But during the lunch from 12 to 1:30, where members of Congress come in and talk to us, we're not lobbying them. They're there to talk to us. So we do get some federal agency representatives who are not allowed to lobby, but they are allowed to come to that lunch and just hear what people are talking about Chesapeake Bay restoration and protection. So technically it's Chesapeake Bay Day on Capitol Hill. So
Yeah.
whatever that's worth.
We'll update that for the next slideshow.
Yeah.
Yes,
But-
the mom and itself.
But we always call it Lobby Day.
We do. It's just easier than Chesapeake Bay Day on Capitol.
That acronym doesn't roll
Yes.
off the tongue either.
Yes. And any non-coalition members, but supporters, funders that are on the phone, we welcome you to come to the lunch as well. We had a really great group of folks that came and sat at their own little table and were able to participate in the lunch. So please stay tuned for some invites from us on that. You're more than welcome to come if you feel comfortable. It was the winning thing, I guess, in the survey. So it's the
People have spoken.
The people. I'm sorry, Drew.
Salt in the wound.
Salt in the wound. All right, so beyond 2025. So we are now entering into 2025. There was a reaching 2025, and then they moved straight to beyond. I guess we didn't go to the end 2025 with Chesapeake Bay program, but the next step that we're sort of moving forward into is this updating of the goals and outcomes. So probably heard me if you've been on any of our coalition calls. There is a 2014 Chesapeake Bay Agreement that has 10 goals and 31 outcomes that are related to everything from the water quality, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment reduction goals, but to everything to public access, environmental education, land conservation, fisheries, habitat, brook trout. There's a million different things that are in it. Well, a million, there's 31. But this is what for over the next year, the jurisdictions in the Bay watershed and the signatories to the agreement are going to be looking at which goals and outcomes they want to continue to focus on. So there's been a little bit of discussion about whether or not there needs to be just a main focus on nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment, and if the other goals and outcomes are necessary, or if they're even a distraction from the nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment reduction goals under the TMDL. I think a lot of folks on the phone, a lot of our members would argue that it's all very much connected and it's important to have a holistic approach to the restoration effort. So there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of work going into making sure that that is conveyed to Bay program leadership and state leadership right now. The executive council meeting is happening next week on the 10th in Annapolis. That is public. I sent around some information on that, and I'll send it around again later this week. We encourage folks to come if they'd like to. We have confirmed that Governor Moore, Governor Shapiro, and Governor Youngkin will all be there in person, which is great. There will be representation from all the other jurisdictions and EPA as well, who are all the signatories to the Bay Agreement. But yeah, we encourage folks to attend. It should be a good event. And then 2 days later, the management board of the Bay program is going to meet on December 12th. There is going to be an opportunity during this meeting for the public, for the stakeholders to raise their voice and to advocate on behalf of the goals and outcomes that they care about and the ones that they would like to see continue in the next iteration of the agreement. So if you care about things like environmental literacy, getting kids outside, creating public access points, ensuring land conservation and ensuring land use changes are being done in a thoughtful way, Black Duck, whatever it is within those goals and outcomes that you are passionate about, this is your opportunity to go before the decision makers, the state representatives who make up the management board, and to tell them exactly why it is important that these goals and outcomes remain in the agreement. So we've been working on a talking points document that I'll share around with the coalition prior to the meeting that'll help formulate some points for you guys. But in the end, I know, and I've been saying this to the Bay program from the beginning, I can't think of a more educated and knowledgeable group about what the success is, what the barriers are, and how we should be measuring success than our coalition members who are on the ground, doing the work, reaching out to communities, making these meaningful connections, and that your voice and your thoughts and your expertise is just so valuable to them. And so I really encourage folks to try and attend. I'll send around the meeting information again for the 12th. It's from 9 to 12, but the public engagement part will be during the last hour or so of the meeting. If you can only make it for one period of time, I would try to aim for 11 to 12 that day. But I'll send around all that information again to the coalition list. But again, really encourage folks to try to attend as much as possible. We'll be focused on this over the next year. The TMDL work group has decided to sort of host these discussions moving forward into our work plan for that work group over the next year. So if you're interested in staying engaged and want to know more and stay up to date on everything related to the Bay Agreement, let me know or use the form that we dropped in the chat. I reach out to Sarah and she'll get you on the listserv and the calendar invites and everything. But that's where the conversations will mostly be had. And we will hopefully ensure that the Bay program and the agreement is a broad and inclusive document that a lot of folks can see their work and see themselves in.
Okay. And then, like I mentioned previously during the equity priority slide, that we are working on updating our DEIJ and action guide. For some context, the Choose Clean Water Coalition was an integral part of creating the guide back in 2017. This was meant to be a comprehensive resource to help our coalition members as well as funders within the Chesapeake Bay watershed be more inclusive, more equitable, more diverse, and just in both their organizations and in their activities. However, like I mentioned, this was done back in 2017, and a lot has happened since then, and the guide hasn't been updated since then. So we are working towards updating first our survey. So part of the work that went into the guide was putting out a survey to all of our coalition members and throughout the Chesapeake Bay watershed to get information about what people needed and to get more feedback in terms of what would they like to see in the resource. So we currently have an RFP out that is looking to refine that survey to make it more relevant to today's climate and today's time. The due date for that would be December 13th. And then we are hoping to have results from that new survey, have that survey be fielded out and getting responses back in by the time of the conference so that we can have an idea of what some of the things people are looking for in the next iteration of the guide. And then hopefully we'll have the guide be fully updated by fall of 2025. So we're looking to have for this to be more more representative of what people need now, as well as be more of a living document, so that we're considering continuously updating it instead of just doing it in big spurts. And I just wanted to let everyone know about this so that you can keep an eye out for it. And we do still have the original guide up, so if you wanted to take a look at that, and if you ever want to give me comment or feedback, I'd be more than happy to appreciate it. But this is something else that we're working on in 2025.
All right, Drew. It's the best for last.
Thank you. Saving the best for last. Absolutely. So we're going to do the conference again, and we're headed to the Old Dominion, right into the beautiful Shenandoah Valley for the first time. The conference will be gathering in Harrisonburg, Virginia. That week before Memorial Day, May 19th to 21st. And well, we're talking about it a lot lately, but because we recently released our RFP to present at the conference. So if you're interested in presenting, all proposals are due by January 10th, but we're going to have our 45-minute sessions, our 90-minute workshops, and field trips again. And for the first time, we're offering 20-minute lightning rounds. So interested to see some of the creative proposals that our presenters share with us. I will note that you don't have to be a member of the coalition to present at the conference. Any and all individuals are welcome to apply to present. So please share it with your networks, share it with friends and colleagues that might be interested. It's a great way to showcase some of your successes and share expertise with the Bay Clean Water community. Also, we are accepting sponsorships for the conference. We say it every year, but it's always true that the conference isn't possible without sponsorships. So all of the materials are available, and you can see all the different opportunities and benefits. Something that we're doing for the first time in several years is having several special sponsorship opportunities that are limited in number, including the opportunity to sponsor our conference kickoff, our eating reception, our Jeopardy round, and then also our lunches. You can be the official sponsor for those. And those are certainly on a first come, first served basis. So if those are of interest to you or your organization, please don't hesitate to reach out. Of course, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Happy to share more, including especially for presenting at the conference. If you want to brainstorm ideas, talk about things you're interested in sharing at the conference, let me know.
Great. So yeah, we did it. We have 15 minutes. Wow. I'm so proud of us. Go team. So a lot to look forward to, obviously, like we just talked about. There's even more things that we don't know that are going to come and that we're going to have to work on and work through in 2025. But I know regardless of what it is, whether it's something we know is happening, whether it's something that comes up, we are going to navigate it as we always do, and that's together. Again, I can't thank our coalition members enough. You guys are just incredible. And again, we would not be as strong as we are without you guys. Our supporters, and any other funders that are on the phone, thank you so much for your support. Everything that you guys do and provide to us is able to make all of this happen. And so thank you for your investment in the coalition and therefore investment in all of our members. I also just want to take a second, and I know Sarah mentioned our state leads. I can't tell you how great our state leads are, and we rely on them so much for so many amazing things, and just they do incredible work, and we are just really, really lucky to have such a great group of folks, including our new lead, Jamani from DC, so that's going to be great. And then lastly, just my team. I could not ask for a better team than the one that I have here at the coalition. They are incredibly hardworking. We just went through all the stuff that we did this past year and that we're going to do next year, and we have this mighty team of 5 here doing all of that together. And I just can't thank them enough for all of the hard work that they do. You guys make this job fun. You make it enjoyable. And thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. That's all that I had, but I do want to again hold space if there's any coalition members that wanted to raise anything, that wanted to, bring up something that we may have missed, whether it was a highlight, from this year or something to think about into 2025, you're always happy, definitely reach out to us after this via email if there's anything you heard today, you'd like more information on. I think one of the things I was thinking while we were doing this is probably sending around all of the links that we dropped into the chat. So don't worry about having to copy and paste all of that into something. We will send it around with the recording for today because we did record this as well. But any other thoughts from you all, our coalition members or other folks on the phone? And Annabelle, that photo took like 5 times to get right, because at one point there was too many leaves in Peter's face, and then at one point, like, I messed it up like 3 times. So this was, I'm very glad that we finally got this shot. Drew, you look too happy in that photo.
Yeah.
I know they're able to dump all those photos or all those things on Peter's head. Oh man. Awesome. Well, I hope that, and we hope that this is the first time we've done this in a long time. We've never done it virtually. We used to have these in person way back in the day. And so we hope that this was helpful for you all to learn more about the coalition, but also in a way to just remind yourselves about all the great stuff that we do together to, you know, hopefully go into the holiday season a little relaxed and able to, you know, recharge and then get ready to do some of the great work that we do together. January 3rd, going to the hill, starting right off the bat. So we're looking forward to working with you guys next year. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you on the stormwater call this afternoon.
Yeah, come on over.
Come on over to Peter's stormwater call.
And Renee.
And Renee. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys soon. Have a happy holidays.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.